thoughts about yesterday. We are here for the recap. We had Laura Volpini, the awesome Laura Volpini.
Yeah.
She's quite the woman, man. She, I mean, of course, like, obviously I've seen photos and I know of her because of her involvement with Hesh and, you know, and in the business and real estate law and real estate and all that. But her personality is not what I expected. She is awesome.
No, I'd say the conversation was, you could splice it up into a few different things, but really I feel like we talked, but not a lot of super personal background, like childhood stuff like that, but it was like upbringing, but business and religion. Mm-hmm. I feel like those are the only two within those. Those are really the only two big boxes. Like, I guess, you know, if you took our whole hour and 20 minutes, which I think is the longest that we've had,
absolutely,
podcast that we've had, that you would categorize it really between religion and business and see how those two compare and contrast with each other, which I thought was really cool. We've never had that in depth of a conversation with such a specific topic like religion.
Yeah, I like how she was able to integrate them and say, like, basically how like her faith was the cornerstone of her business success and all things related. Drop your phone.
I did.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good. I like how she was able to integrate that and say that, like, no, in fact, everything of where it is I am is or where I am at now is because of my faith and my practices of integrating that into business and just her lifestyle, you know? So let's take it back to the business perspective solely and what it is she was saying as far as outlook with residential, commercial real estate. I know you love looking into market analysis, overview, everything, you know, related there. What were your thoughts about what it is she had to say about everything?
I think it's very true. So when we talked about, hey, you know, when you have such an increase in equity, right, appreciation over 20% in the last 2 years, respectively speaking, in the United States. And a lot of people, she was saying, like, hey, listen, a lot of people don't want to do that new home. A lot of people just want to take out do the cash out refi or do the HELOC or home equity line, and just get a lump sum of cash and, you know, hey, let's add on a garage or let's add on a deck or let's do this, let's do that or whatever. Maybe we'll stay here for a little bit longer. Obviously, there are implications, like there are good things to doing that. There's an opportunity cost for sure. There are implications for sure, but it's a different thing that I haven't really thought of a lot yet in terms of in relation to our housing market. But she hit everything on the money. I mean, it's no surprise that where our market is going is up, right? We're just going to have continued interest rates are going up. And the inventory is down, demand is up, right? So price is naturally going to move up. I don't think it's a question of I don't think the question is, like, is there a housing market crash or anything like that? Personally speaking, I think it's just, do wages end up compensating for the amount of increase in price? Sure. You know, like, does the average house price not increase? Does it level off as you let overall wages increase?
Household income increase,
yeah. For example, like if you get paid a percentage, 100 basis points, 200 basis points, 300 and so on and so forth per loan closed, well, the thought process is, okay, well, you take a $250,000 home 2 years ago versus a $300,000 home, the same home today. Well, you would get paid more on that because of the increase in actual volume. So, you know, call it 1,000, 1,500, whatever it is. You've just made more money on the same home only because it's increased in value. The price is bigger.
That's right.
So we see a direct result of that. So hopefully, you know, you would see an increase in wages, so on and so forth, a ripple effect throughout the economy that way. But other than that, she has great perspective on the commercial side, which I wasn't too aware of. I thought most commercial properties were, you know, going downhill, and you even talked about just the mall side, you know, malls and everything. I liked what she said. Hey, it's going to be more about the shopping experience rather than actually going in and getting said items, right? So we're going there to spend an hour or two just to get away from the house. Exactly.
Go to a restaurant there. Yeah, different boutiques, stuff like that. What do you think about, what is your outlook on, and it's just out of my curiosity, like, do you think home building companies, like let's say Orion Homes or a Pulte Homes or any home building company, whether it be custom or on a grand scale like Ryan Homes, which is pretty much countrywide, nationwide, they're prospectors for land and everything. Do you think they're telling them to hold up and everything right now, or are they driving more and more? Despite the fact that like there's supply chain issues with lumber and
all materials,
a lot of materials, and also with work shortages, or as far as labor shortages, with people like not working as much and stuff like that. Like, do you think they're telling those individuals in their company like, hey, hold off for a little bit, or
to manipulate
we're not buying
what?
as much land to go and build up all these developments? Like, for example, I mean, when we weren't facing these issues, those people might be out prospecting nonstop for plots of land that they're eventually then going to turn in, purchase, develop, and then just throw up 40, 50 plus homes. Is that something you think they're completely scaling back on because of the fact that this kind of stuff is happening? Or because you figure if they're...
I'd have to look at... I don't want to give an assumption without looking at actual numbers.
Yeah.
I could see why they would want to do that. I don't see as much incentive, I guess. I could see why, I guess. But I
mean, that's what drives their business. But it's not necessarily, I guess just answering my own question. Like, it's not that's halting their business or not driving revenue. It's the end product. The home's not selling, right? The fact that people aren't wanting to buy these homes, so they have open lots just sitting.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because I still hear of a lot of people who are still building.
I do too, and you see a lot of developments that go up like overnight, man. Like overnight? a lot of places. I mean, Ryan Homes, which does kind of make me nervous for the amount of quality that we're producing in said housing, because if these, I mean, dude, it takes
cookie cutter type homes.
Well, it takes a lot to put into a quality home, right? And you want to make sure you have good material and good labor that's going into building your home, and everything. So. They're just going up at such a rapid pace sometimes that they're just, they want to do that feedback loop that Brian Coaster talked about. Mm-hmm. Get the labor, get the materials, build the home, sell the home, on to the next one, right?
Because they have it all ready to go, you're saying.
So because
they buy the land, they develop it, boom, they have the process.
Exactly. The plan's in place. It's not rocket science. It's, right. We have the materials here, we have the labor here, we'll build the house. I mean, the schematic is easy. Obviously, it's very difficult to manage that.
Sure.
But the houses, they go up at such a rapid pace. I don't know. I can only assume that you would have such skilled labor that you had back in the day. I mean, obviously, technology is definitely improved. But I don't know. I don't know if the quality of work is there as much. I don't know. I'm just saying, that could be a factor. And we'll see what happens, in a couple years.
My buddy built with them, and this is not a knack on Ryan Homes in any way. I personally wouldn't build with them. But it's just like, he tells me, like, I look at his house, and he has a beautiful home, but there's just some things that, like, were done. I'm like, you totally could have had that. Like, they could have done that way better. And then, like, to know that, like, literally a few, like, around the corner, a few houses up, his buddy's moving into his building, and it's the exact same home. Like, it's the exact same. Like, he literally leaves his house, walks into his friend's house.
Yeah, it's just...
And it's the exact same. It's just flipped. The garage is on the other side. You know what I'm saying? It's just totally... It's just mirrored. That's it. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. I wouldn't want to live in a development like that. I feel like I'd be living like that SpongeBob episode where Squidward goes away and it's all the same and he does the same thing every day.
Exactly.
The leaf blower one.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Dumb example. But
no, that's a good. No, it's a good example. It's a good example for all the. Well, hey, I mean that's a good segue. So nostalgia, right? We were talking a little bit about that. And
that was interesting. That's true. I do see that about our age group.
Exactly, and I think that's what Laura was saying was the differentiators between the lawyers that are coming out of law school today versus the ones that were coming out when she was graduating, right? Obviously, I think Laura, like to put her on a pedestal, she was able to accomplish a vast majority of things in a short amount of time. MBA and finishing law school. being able to do those things is very difficult, right? Simultaneously. So, and obviously her work for, her overall work ethic is at such a high level, right? Yeah. But going back to the lawyers that want to work the just 40 hours a week, 9 to 5. I want my weekends and have the work-life balance. I understand the work-life balance, but I don't think like coming right out of law school or coming right out of college, I don't think there is. I mean, it's hard. The first couple of years, like, dude, we had to grind pretty hard our first couple of years. You know what I mean? Now we don't have to necessarily do that as much, the 80 hours a week. But I definitely think you have to pay your dues.
Yeah, I would have some level of agreement with that. I would. I don't know much further that I can even elaborate on that because to me it's just like such a subjective thing. I think it's personal to each individual. Like you may have some people who come out and like they're just a workhorse. They want to work their way up, where there might be lawyers who are just like okay being the perfect employee.
But I'm saying you can't have both though. Like you can't want to be super successful and not put in the work.
Well, no, you have to be realistic with your expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
Of what it is you want to. If you have a lofty goal, like a CEO that we're around a lot that wants to be a billionaire one day. Well, it's nothing shy of perfect. The fact that he works 7 days a week, is constantly available, and is just devoted to that. But for somebody like anybody else who doesn't necessarily want that, you have to be real with yourself. You can't walk around and say, well, I'm only willing to work this, but this is what I want. You have to be realistic with yourself and your expectations as far as the work that you have to put in for the goals that you want to achieve, right? Which is why I think it's important, and like why I think mimetic theory, ever since you read that book, has been something that's so prevalent in our minds, and something that we constantly bring up in all these episodes is because it's like that's part of your self-evaluation with what it is your goals are.
What they truly are.
They truly are.
Yeah.
Because you have to look at not the goal in the fantasizing of what it would be like to live in that accumulation of that goal, or the acquiring, or the summation of that goal, but what effort is needed to achieve that goal, right? I know I am not willing to be the type of father that's a multi-millionaire.
Because of what you have to sacrifice.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. God bless the individuals that want to do that, right? But I think it's very important for any young individual who is ambitious and who is working on setting goals and has lofty goals to not necessarily I'm not saying decrease your goals. I'm saying look at what that goal may require and see if that lines up with the effort that you're willing to put in, and then reevaluate your goal.
Yeah.
If you have big goals, I'll never tell anybody, dude, if somebody said, oh, well, I want to own this company one day, yada, yada, this and that. Okay, that's fine, but reverse engineer it. What specifically do you need to get
and
there?
Then it's like, maybe I don't want to do that.
There you go. And then that's where I think it becomes more personable.
Yes.
Or personal to you. And I think there's way less stress created around that goal.
That's why I understand the 10x rule. I get it. And I understand why some people like the 10x rule. Yeah, Grant Cardone's 10x rule. Like you take your goal and you multiply it by 10, because the thought process is, I'd rather fall 50% of my goal rather than overachieve 10%.
Shoot for the stars, land amongst the moon kind of deal.
I get it. I understand. But
shoot for the moon.
I know what you mean. I don't like that as much, me personally speaking, because I feel like it's almost overwhelming to me. Like it feels like it's just like, I have a big goal and I'm putting this on my shoulders, and I get you want to reverse engineer and just take it day by day, but it's also like, again, now I have to hold true to the amount of work that I have to put into this to get to my 10x. Well, I'm not balanced now, because now I have to forego other things in my life that I put as importance. I put an importance on, whatever, exercise, diet,
very
so
true.
on and so forth.
And I think that's where you then slip very easily into that self-loathing, lack of confidence, where you're beating yourself up constantly because there's a disconnect between what it is you just say you want, not necessarily what it is you even desire. I think a lot of people are walking around saying they want shit that they don't even really want. Right. or that they think they want for a certain gratification that I just don't believe is
I
what
think
they
that
would
goes,
find to be true.
Social programming.
Sure.
You know?
So I think there then becomes a massive disconnect, and I think that's why a lot of people find frustration and quit, is because they realize early on that so much more is needed to put into this, or maybe that it's going to take a lot more time, or there are a lot more struggles that come with it than they thought, to the point where there's now such a massive disconnect, to the point where it's, well, I want to be a billionaire one day. Okay, well then work 7 days a week for the first 10 years of your career. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the point where when you take a Sunday off, you are beating yourself up all day. You're sitting there trying to relax, but there's not one bit of any relaxation that you've even caught because of the fact that you're sitting there in a self-loathing guilt because of that massive cognitive. That's like a cognitive dissonance, right? There was something that we used to learn in psychology where it's like, I want to say that's it. Isn't that right?
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, where it's like, God, there was this whole example we used to go through. I'm not even going to dive into it because I could totally botch it, and I'd have to look back.
Can you give us the definition of cognitive dissonance?
There was an example we had where it was like, if you, I'm not even going to get into it. It was something about like, if you drank the night before you had a test and you aced it, you look like a genius. But if you didn't, you had an excuse. That was the cognitive dissonance.
Okay.
Right there. It's like you have something to fall back on. But if you aced it, you look like a genius because you can drink and do whatever the hell you want and still go out and do it.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm trying to relate it to the fact of like, you say you want to do something, but then when you don't do something that doesn't line up with it, you look like a failure, and you look like somebody who isn't true towards it. What's that?
So the definition of cognitive dissonance is the state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes, especially as relating to behavioral decisions and attitude change.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Thank
I want
you.
to be a billionaire. Therefore, I know I need to work 7 days
That
a week
makes
for the
sense.
first 10 years.
Yeah.
I take a Sunday off. I'm sitting there. Now I'm depleting my confidence, and you don't feel as inspired anymore, which motivation can just screw itself. I think motivation is a temporary feeling. Inspiration, I think, is what gets you going.
Exactly.
And now you feel less inspired towards your work.
Like Marcus Ogden say, hey, I got to inspire my kid to clean their room, not motivate. I can motivate them by saying, I'm going to punish you. Oh, that's motivation.
Fear.
Exactly.
Is
for
what
sure.
drives
But if I
motivation.
inspire you to want to clean your own room, he's like, I want my child to clean their room, not because I told them to clean their room, but because they want their room to be clean. You know?
So, for example, saying, I'm motivated to go to the gym because I'm a fat ass versus I'm inspired to go because I want to live a healthier life.
Exactly.
Honest to God.
Precisely.
It's like, yeah, I mean, it's
Precisely. Let's go to
way
the
to say
religion.
it,
Let's
but-
go to the religion part.
sure.
So, Chris, remind our viewers again who it is we are and what we do.
Hey guys, both Dominic and I are loan officers here at Liberty Home Mortgage. So if you or anyone you know is looking to purchase or refinance a home, please email us at the elevateclepodcast@gmail.com. Subject line, looking to purchase or refinance a home. Email's in the description. I didn't know that about Laura, how in depth she was, how close she was really to God and everything. And again, I think it's a recurring theme that we often hear, especially on this podcast, when people are in times of despair and you're just, you're at the very bottom of the barrel and you think that just everything's hitting you. Like, when it rains, it pours, right? We've heard time and time again that people look to God, whatever that may be to them, right? Because they have to believe in something.
God, Buddha, light, love,
Whatever,
universe,
sure.
Allah, whatever you want to call it.
Sure. And I just thought it was amazing that she was in a very dark place, right? Building that law office up, but then, obviously going through a divorce, having a child and everything, a lot of different pressures. But everything happens for a reason, right? We always say that, more fati. And it ended up propelling her to where she is today. Amazing, right? So, but she gives a lot of credit to God
Faith.
and her faith, right? And that's that's very important.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the reason I brought up that assumption is I don't know if we have more depression and more anxiety in our day and age because we live in a more secular time frame these days. I don't know. I mean, maybe when you don't have anything to believe in, there's nothing that is really making you feel better or something, for lack of better words, really.
I would say something that came to mind is one thing that I've learned through like a lot of the teachings I listened to through like Wayne Dyer, and I recommend listening to some of his stuff. And there's a book out there that I mentioned even yesterday in the podcast. It's Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, where it goes through 67 verses of the Tao Te Ching, which was like where Lao Tzu, again, just one of these figures like Buddha, Allah, Jesus, just a figure in ancient Chinese philosophy that walked this earth, that before he walked through this gate, the person made him write down his teachings, and he wrote them down in 67 verses. One of the things the Tao teaches is that you have everything within yourself that you need in any given moment to live in that moment in peace, in abundance, in happiness, joy, inspired, and in love, right? But our world teaches today that you have to give yourself more and get more and eat more and drink more and sex more and consume more and have more and dress more and wear more, right?
Sure.
All this stuff that just dresses up the outer thing while neglecting your inner spirit, which is 100,000%, no matter what God or anything that you believe in, what race, sex, anything that you are, orientation, does not matter. There is something within all of us, the lens behind the light that we have, or the light behind the lens that we look through, that you have to take care of, that inner being. Whether you want to believe that there's a God out there or whatever, this and that, there's something that you have to, within yourself, take care of. The Taoist teachings teaches that we have everything within ourselves to tune into that. It calls it your higher self, your higher man, right? Your spirit. That would allow you to live in any moment inspired and in love, peace, and joy and abundance. Where our world today, I think the massive cognitive dissonance comes into play where, oh, well, I don't have the car yet.
Sure.
So therefore I have to suffer.
Sure.
Until I get it.
And then what happens when you get it?
The new car smell wears off after a week.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or you're riding up to places thinking, well, what are others thinking of me? Now they must think I'm so cool. And it just creates, I think, so many delusions. I really do feel bad. I mean, our generation is like, I think like the 90s babies and stuff are like a little bit outside of it. I think we get wrapped up in it. But like the kids who are in high school now, like my youngest, I really feel bad for their age group because of everything that they're exposed to on social media. And their influencers now are all Grant Cardones and those-esque type people. I mean, look at any video YouTube ad. What's the thing they do? Hey, stop right there real quick, and then it zooms out, and it's 30 Ferraris behind them. No, these aren't rented. These are mine. They're bought. Guess what? I made $1 million on Amazon drop shipping, and I'm 18 years old.
Yeah.
And what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're in school?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like those people are like, oh, fuck.
What am I doing? Oh, I'm still in algebra.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You know, so I think
know.
that's where a massive disconnect comes in. Is our world today is more so about consumption.
But they almost make these people like their God and substitute.
Yeah.
To a point where it's like, I mean, they're like, you see this person everywhere off, YouTube, social media, so on and so forth, and it's all they see. They truly believe that this individual or individuals, it could be a group, is like almost their God. Their mentor or whatever have you, in place of something that's really higher than that.
Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden you're getting your frame of mind from this individual who's telling you, bang, I got 30 Ferraris, 18 years old, drop shipping, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, and everything. But yeah, we got soaked into it too, for sure, for our generation.
Sure. Get rich quick schemes. I mean, I mean, when we were growing up, when we were in like, between like middle school to high school, I mean, I remember it was the Saturday morning infomercials.
Yeah. Of
like, the thing that where you call in and within a month you could be making $1 million, and Susie and Joe changed their life around because they started making $50,000 a month doing this and that and just call in.
Well, I mean, even pre-2008, you see, or leading up to 2008, everyone was flipping, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, get into debt, because the thought was, let's leverage everything and anything you can because you're guaranteed to make $30,000 on a flip, very easily, right? It's hard to say, like, dude, I'm, busting ass making 50, 60 grand. And my neighbor, who I know makes less than me, ended up flipping this house for $20,000. You know what I mean? Now he 1031'd it, bought another property. It's like, dude, seriously? But those are how, I think those are how bubbles are created, is because of that, because of exactly what you said. Those get rich quick schemes.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the meme stocks nowadays,
Yeah, I saw, it might have even been Seth. No. Yeah, it might have even been Seth on his like trader EMO whatever thing.
Seth
Everything Money.
Sure.
Yeah, who we're gonna have on in March. It was either him or just like one of like the trading accounts that I follow on Instagram. Like on the story, it was if you invested $117,000 into Peloton, if you invested $100,000 into Peloton a year ago today, that money is now $17,000. Yeah. And it's like. And then, like, granted, like, Peloton was not a meme stock, but it just goes to show you, like, even look at, like, AMC. Remember, like, in the office back in June, everybody was raving about AMC. Like, what was it, hitting, like, 60-something in this and that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or, like, remember the GameStop thing?
Everyone was buying, dude, yeah. Everyone was buying in at $17 per share and went up to $60. Everyone was riding their high horse. Now it's at, like, I don't know what it's at right now. I don't really follow it. I know it's sub 20 or something like that.
Whatever. But yeah, man, it's something that our world can quickly kind of consume you with. And I like her perspective and how she stays grounded. The simple question of how do you build a business without building an ego, I think is important to ask any businessman, because I don't care what, like if you're an owner of any kind of company, if you build your ego along the way with that, you just become an unappealing person. Doesn't matter what you own or what your business even does. I think that's just so unappealing. And then what is it that you're able to get swooped up and kind of wrapped up in? Like, what kind of evil forces are you able to get wrapped up in?
Dude,
where
yes.
Somebody can easily come to you and say, well, we could take your business this and this. This is what you have to start doing. Then it goes against your moral or basic foundations or the principles that you built your business on originally that got you there. And now you're going against them because of the sake of the ego just wants more and more and more and more.
There was a YouTube short. It was only like 20 seconds, right? And it was like the title was "The Rich versus the Very Rich," right? And it was like they were at a butcher and they're ordering meat, and the butcher is like, "Hey, Jim, what would you like?" And he's on his phone. I don't know, man. And then he's just talking about like some deal. He's like, this asshole's asking me what I want. Like what, blah blah blah, talking and being very rude, and that's the rich. And then they were saying like the very rich person was, like when the customer's like, like very respectful. I don't know, maybe I want, I don't know, what do you recommend? What do you think? What, you guys got any deals today or anything like that? So it kind of just goes to show like you can still be rich or whatever that means to you and have that ego as a business person, but I don't think that lasts. It really doesn't. I don't think it lasts for a certain amount of time. Like it eventually catches up to you, I think. Like I think just being a good person and just genuinely understanding that you want to help people, and then then not chasing the money and letting the ego aside, that you're gonna have longevity.
That's why I think it's important to help constructively correct people when they say I'm broke or poor, because I don't think that's a financial situation. I think that's a spiritual situation. Like if you're broken and poor, like that might be a financial state, but like that talks so much more down on your spirit than it does anything else. Just like I go back to the Bob Marley interview nonstop. I watch that constantly. It's like, rich, what is riches? Do you mean if I have a lot of money? Like, sure, I have a lot of money, but that's not riches. That's, it's what it is. It's whimsical, dude. It's here. It's neither here or there. Look at the video. Like I have to show you this Dave Meltzer that I sent Laura Volpini the podcast on. I'll even send it to you just for the sake of listening. It's an awesome perspective. It's 30 minutes, which you could zoom by the first 6 minutes because Evan plugs his like vitamins and stuff that he takes, this magnesium and stuff. It's amazing, man. The guy talks about how he lost $100 million, and I was watching like the Instagram short of it today, how he was saying like it wasn't just through a business deal, it was through thinking that I was the smartest person in the room and I didn't have to ask anybody for help, and I was going about this thing in an ignorant fashion, not even knowing it, and how I thought I was high and mighty and my ego built itself and I was just all into greed and more, and I ended up losing $100 million. And he said that it was one of the biggest lessons for him because it taught him that no matter where it is he goes in life, his focus needs to be on the person and adding value to individuals and not focusing on the money or the gratification that comes from that, but more or less the service that he provides to people and his interactions with others. And now he asks everybody for help. It doesn't matter what stage of the game he's in. He's out there to serve people, where he used to think that I should be the one, or everybody should be the one coming to me, serving me, and then I'm the one that they're asking advice from. Come to me because look at where I'm at. I've made $100 million. It's just awesome, dude. I mean, it's just, those are the kinds of people that, though I don't necessarily care to be in that specific financial situation, which may invariably happen one day just because of the detachment from it. And of course, just my drive in business. I like those perspectives, like what Laura had. It was just so refreshing to talk to her. Like I know
that's why I was texting you. It was like different.
Yeah,
it just felt different.
I couldn't help but sit there and like during it just be like, man, like I just
kind of want to keep listening, honestly.
Yeah, and not to mention too, like I just feel like she's anybody. I feel like you can call on her in a couple months, just be like, "Hey, Laura, it's Chris from Liberty. Remember we did the podcast? Like, just checking. I have a question. Can you help connect me with an individual who does boom, boom, boom?" She'd be like, "Oh my God, absolutely." Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what she's got going on, how busy she is.
She has that servant mentality. I'm going to help service.
Absolutely.
But overall, man, very good.
It was good.
Love the podcast with her, and hopefully she's one we can have on again.
I would agree. Hey, let me ask you something before we get off here. What is the difference to you if I were to say I earn money and I make money?
You earn money versus I make money?
Yeah. If some kid said to you...
From a literal standpoint, you don't make money. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why, like, you wouldn't say, like, I don't know, like, in German, you don't say, like, oh, I make money. You literally say I earn money because you make money doesn't make any sense. Like, making money means you're physically...
You work in a mint.
Yeah. So when you earn money, that's stuff that you put time in to earn. That's my assumption. I don't know if that's what you mean or not.
I'm literally just asking you to speak your truth. I don't think there's any correct right or wrong. I think it's just
I think it's grammatically correct if you say earn money versus make money. I think if you say make money from a literal standpoint, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
How would you teach your son or daughter about money? Would you say, if they said, Dad, well, I want to make this money, how would you teach them about how money works and how you earn or make money?
So how you earn money?
Sure.
Yeah. So I would say you earn money by being, I don't know, like, are you talking about like Rich Dad Poor Dad kind of stuff?
Sure. So I guess just like what I've learned from it from certain, like there's a YouTube channel I brought up before.
You could pay yourself. I understand that. Like obviously, like, hey, you work for a company. Who are you paying? Well, you're not paying yourself first. First, you're paying the tax man. Mm-hmm. Then you end up paying your employer. Mm-hmm. Then you end up paying this. Then you pay it in that. And then you get paid whatever. So when you work for yourself, obviously you keep a lot of the money for yourself. So I would say, like, to teach my kids, I want them to be as entrepreneurial as they can, so they can understand that. Listen, I want to teach them how money works first. Where does it come from? How to use it, and what it can do for you, right? And then after all of that, then say money. Then money doesn't matter,
Right. Well, and here's where I think the lesson comes in. Money is a medium of exchange. Sure. I mean, think what it was back in the day. What would you do? You would trade livestock.
Seashells.
Yeah, or livestock or rocks or stones or whatever it was.
Whatever the medium exchange
the medium of exchange is. And that's why I think it's crazy that we place money as a god nowadays, as if it's this thing that holds so much energy, when in fact it's just a piece of paper.
Well, you're talking like in a capitalistic... Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so as a disconnection from like a mercantile... like mercantilism.
So the point I'm getting at with it is I heard somebody on a video yesterday on their Instagram thing, and it was like for recruiting purposes on like a like for their company and their team. They said if you earn money, you work for somebody. If you make money, you're working for yourself. And I was like, I have no way to even kind of relate to that or even understand that. And here's my understanding of it. If you say, even if you said I make $20 an hour, no, you don't, because if you made $20 an hour, you could sit at home and you would be given that money, versus the time or the effort that you put into that hour and the value that you add to that company in that hour, you are compensated and earn $20. Okay. So what I would teach my kids is you are paid in direct proportion to what it is, what value you add in the time that you're at that company. So for example,
that makes sense.
The CEO of Disney can be paid $80+ million per year, or whatever it might be, because of the value that he adds to that company as a whole in that given time frame. It's chicken scratch them, because if he goes out there and makes them some $100 million to feed him $80 million of it, let's say if they're making over $300 million as a company, or any company, let's say Amazon, to feed one of their highest board members a $50 million salary per year is chicken scratch, because of the value that individual adds in that year, that fiscal year, to the company. Because without that person, where might the company be? Mm-hmm. So again, I think, to me, basic law of money is you don't make money. If you made money, you'd work in a mint. You can just stay home and the money would be printed to you. You earn money in the time that so if you make $20 an hour, you're earning $20 an hour for the time and the value that you put in that duration of time. So
I thought it meant more of a grammatical.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, but I mean, to break it down that simply too, I mean, I know you don't make it. What do you mean? Like, the Germans would be like, make? What do you mean make it?
Yeah.
You don't.
You work for the Federal Reserve?
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, yeah.
So I think it's important, man. I mean, you have to, in all things, right? You have to be the driver of money. Don't let money be the driver of you. And I think it's important to have that attitude towards money, because then that's where it kind of becomes your God, and that's where it kind of becomes sickly.
Mm-hmm.
So
no doubt, man. All right,
cool.
On to the next one.
You got it, brother.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Elevate Cleveland podcast. Dominic, wrap it up for us.
As Chris stated at the beginning of this podcast, we are licensed loan originators for the best mortgage company in the land. That is Liberty Home Mortgage. Guys, if you or anybody you know is looking to purchase or refinance a home, doesn't matter if you've done this 1, 10, or 100 times, call us, email us. The email is in the description below. Reach out to that email. In the subject line, put looking to purchase / refinance a home. Whatever it is your goal is, Chris and I will reach out to you within 24 hours, and we look forward to helping you with whatever it is your specific home goal is. Thank you.